Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Sinag and welcome to a new video. This one kind of have a two video ideas in one. So we have recent reads and book recommendations. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a recommendations of all the books that I have recently read that I highly recommend. So let's go on now with the recommendations. So the first book that I'm recommending is Tentacles and Triathlons by Ashley Bennett. So this is the book 2 in Leviathan Fitness series, and I gave the first book 4 stars. It's about Atlas and Tegan. Well, this one is about Cyrus and Reese. So Reese is Tegan's brother, and he is actually his job is around the parks department, while Cyrus is a Kraken. This is my first Kraken book, I think, or at least a first monster romance book wherein one of the main characters is a Kraken. So it's a very interesting thing because of all the tentacles and all of that. But in this book, we get to see Reese improve as a person and challenged his prejudice towards monsters, because at the start of this book, he's very he's very prejudiced towards monsters, and he is detached, or he's not close to his sister because of that, because his sister mated with a wolven in the first book. Also get to see him enjoy a bit more and not be that uptight person he was from before. I think Cyrus and Reese has a very good dynamics together, and they really complement each other well. However, I feel like sometimes sometimes Cyrus feels or acts out of his character, or the character that was established to us. So that's why I feel sometimes I feel like I am watching or reading about other character, because I don't feel like Cyrus will do those things. Nonetheless, I think this is a very cute book, and I actually read it for I think 4 hours only. So it's really fast to read, and I really enjoy the fluffy or the light kind of feeling over it. It has a very light vibes. And from that, the cover as well is very gorgeous. The cover is the reason why I picked the first book. So it continues, and Konki is still one of my favorite artists. I don't know if I have mentioned this in my reading vlog for the monster romance, where I included the first book in there. But I was surprised when I found out that Konki, the Bookstagram Konki who do the illustration, is the one who did the illustration for this series. So I'm really surprised, and I'm excited for that. And so that's the reason as well why I picked the first books, because of the cover. And then when I found out that Konki is the one who did the cover, then it just add up to my excitement towards the book and towards the series. So I gave this book 4 stars, and I think this is a very fun book to read, and I think a lot of people who enjoy monster romance and who enjoy a kind of light and fluffy monster romance without too much angst, then this one is for you. The next book that I'm recommending is When Hearts Die by Kimberly Brown. So this one is actually a second chance romance, and I really enjoyed that aspect in this book. So our main characters, Sage and Brian Lee, were actually divorced, and this is their second chance basically in solving their marriage. But in the first place, they divorced in a non-toxic way. In this one, the reason why they divorced is natural, in a way that sometimes people do just fall out of love with each other, and they need time to reevaluate themselves and to basically search for themselves and be a better person individually before committing as a part of a couple or a partnership. And aside from that, this one also is a very fast and cozy read for me. Setting in here surrounds around Christmas time, so there's the Christmas element in this one, as well as the forced proximity aspect, because our heroine Brian Lee was actually stranded in a snow near where Sage lives. So that's how they got back together for a while. And even though they were divorced for I think 4 years, they still have a communication, or they still have communication with each other, and and they talk from time to time. But this one is the first time that they are meeting each other again in person. Another thing that I like in this book is we have dogs. I just want to take note of that because there are dogs in here, Nala and Simba. So cute. I gave this book 5 stars, and this is actually one of my favorite books, and I highly recommend this one. I can't wait to read more from the author Kimberly Brown because I loved how she makes our characters and how she write their dynamic together. And with the second chance romance trope, this is one of my all-time favorite tropes. So I'm happy to read this, and I'm happy that the second chance aspect was written well. I also did a second chance romance reading vlog before, and I'm going to link that one in the description box or in the eye above so that you can see or you can watch it if you want to. But I just love second chance aspect in books, especially when they are written well. So yeah, I really enjoy this book and I highly recommend. So my next recommendation will be Seduced by a Night by Russ, and this is actually the last book in the Wild Nights trilogy, but I read it first before the first 2 books, so I still was able to follow along with what's happening with the small town. So I think this series, or at least this book, can be read out of order. So this book is actually about Londin and Ramsey. Ramsey is a painter, and Londin just got back from New Jersey to the Sweet Rapids town. This actually has a small town romance aspect in here, as well as our main characters are F-buddies. So personally, I think the progression, or how the relationship between our main characters progressed, is very natural to who they are as a person and to who they are as shown to us in this book. And I also love that there's a drama near the end of the book, and it basically did not make the entire book boring, at least for me, because usually when the main characters was able to get together na by around 60% of the book, the rest of the book just follows, or the rest of the book sometimes gets boring if the author right if the author's writing style were too bland, or if nothing happens or no addition happened in the plot. But in this one, because of that drama, I don't know if it is really a drama, but for me it kind of is. And so it added a little bit of fun, at least for me, in my reading experience while reading this book. This is a very fast read for me as well. I think I read this in just 4 to 5 hours only. Actually, this book is the one that solidified Russ, or the author. I really don't know how to pronounce the name, but this solidified the author to be one of my favorite authors na, and I really enjoyed and I really love that, because after reading the first book that I've read from this author, which is Birthday Sex, I feel like, because of the author's writing style, I feel like that this author is a potential favorite author. With this book solidifying that, it just shows that the writing style is really on point with what I like, and I think this is very accessible and easy to read for majority of the readers as well. And since the author doesn't do any of that flowery words, it's very direct to the point. Aside from that, the way she writes the characters and how they interact with each other, and as well as the dynamics, I find it really realistic. And because of the drama that happened in the last part of the book, it just shows that the author really knows how to write characters and how to write interactions between characters and their dynamics together, and how will it manifest to the reader as real people, and you can really tell that these these characters are not just characters, they have personality and they have depth. And so I really enjoyed that for that. So I highly recommend this one. I actually gave it 5 stars, and though it is not my favorite, though this is not a favorite book for me, I can see Tara's other books to be a future or a potential favorite books. Though I still haven't find my favorite books from her, but I can feel that if I read more from her other books, I can find that. But this one is not it. But despite that, I can still see this being loved by other readers. So the next book that I'm recommending is Perfect Days by Raphael Montes. This one is actually a reread for me, but this time around I'm giving it 5 stars, and this is one of my all-time favorite books na. We have our main character, Tio. So Tio is actually a medical student and a psychopath and a stalker. And so he met this girl Clarice once in a party, in a barbecue party, and he decided right then and there that Clarice and him are meant to be for each other. And so in this book we have seen a lot of, it's kind of a road trip but not kind of adventure, because Clarice is writing a road trip adventure kind of screenplay. She was going to be in this hotel to basically have a writing retreat, but a lot of things have happened. The journey is what makes this book really interesting and fun to read, especially when you reach the end of the book and you have analyzed or at least put the puzzle pieces together, the ones that we've seen from the previous chapters, and then put it in place at the end. It's just so satisfying. So I won't spoil you anything about what happened in this one, but I really enjoyed this. And although our main character Tio is very unlikable and he is very manipulative, and he has a lot of flaws in here, the book does not really villainize him, and I think the nature or the very nature of the book adds something to the reason why is that. Because for me, at least for me, reading this book again, this is kind of, or this book was situated in a thin line between romance, thriller, and a dark comedy. So I don't know if I'm the only one who has felt that. So there's a lot of turns in here, not necessarily twists, because you kind of know what's going to happen in terms of, because we know that our main character is a psychopath. So we kind of have an inkling as to what's going to happen near the end, or near the end or by the end. But I love what happened in the around 70% mark. It is the time where they are in the Isla Grande. So if you have read this, you'll know. Because I remember the first time that I read this book, I didn't expect that direction, because from what I've said, right, since our main character is a psychopath and an obsessive psychopath and a stalker, we kind of already know what's going to happen, or we have an inkling as to what's going to happen next. But what happened in Isla Grande kind of surprised me, and even right now in my reread, even though I know what's going to happen next, I was still surprised, or I have the appropriate reaction that that I think the author wants to for the readers to experience. So kind of a sad note, I want to commend the author's writing style in this one, because I was still able to remember all of the intricate details that I have read from the first time that I read it back then. I forgot if I read it back in 2018 or 2019, but I read this in 2023. That's lots of years in between. Even though years have passed since I last read it, I was still able to remember the details. So I believe that the writing style in this one was really good, and it really stays with the reader, or at least for me, it stays with me. So, and aside from that, even though that I know already what's going to happen, I was still, just like what I said, I have the appropriate reaction for all of the reveals. I also commend the author for that, because it really takes a very special kind of writing style to be able to do that, to be able to still shock or still elicit the appropriate response or appropriate reaction from the reader, even though they have read the book before. So I commend the author for that. So I'm really happy to be able to reread the book at this time, put my thoughts into a video format, because back then I was still not in booktube. I'm just a casual watcher or just an audience. So I highly recommend this book a lot. If you have read For Your Own Good and you wanted to read a main character just like the main character in that book, I highly suggest this one. And these two books actually have kind of the same vibes, except that the For Your Own Good was set in academia or in a high school setting, and the main character is a teacher. And Perfect Days naman has a road trip element, and there's and our main character is a medical student. So this is going to be the end of this video. If you have read any of the books that I have mentioned, please comment down below. And if you also have other recommendations for me, comment it down below. So thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, as well as click the notification bell down below so that you'll be the first to know when I upload something. That's all for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye bye!